This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Oscar Valdez over Zoom. Oscar, always a pleasure. How are you? How is life treating you?
Everything good, man. Everything good right now. I'm excited for this new opportunity. I feel blessed to be in this position that I am. A lot of people, many people know I had a loss last year against Shakur Stevenson, but that only made something spark in me. Know that how much I miss boxing, how much I miss being a champion, how much I miss just being inside the ring. So right now, I'm physically, mentally ready for this. Can't wait to step in the ring and give the fans what they want. Everybody wants to see a good fight. They want to see the war. I think this could be the fight.
Oscar, you're only a week or so away now from fight night. This fight with Emanuel Navarrete has been spoken about for a while. You've spoken about facing each other back down at featherweight. It's now happening at super feather. Why do you feel like it's maybe taken that bit more time to get this fight over the line?
Well, I know exactly what it was. I had a rib injury, two actually. I was, walking down some stairs back in my hometown. It was a rainy night, freak accident, fall, broke two of my ribs on my back. So that made me, postpone the fight the first time. Then they had gave me two months to recover. That's what the doctor had told me. I go into training camp. I already announced the fight with Canelo Navarrete. And during a sparring session, man, I got hit to a body shot, and that re-injured us. Man. It got broken the same spot again, so that had to be postponed once again. He got the chance to fight against Leon Smith, or I forget his name, but he had the chance to fight for the world title. He won. That was the time that we were supposed to fight together. So um, that's the reason why it took so long. So right now we're in a perfect spot. He he just fought in February. Now it's check his second fight of the year. It would be mine as well. So um, we're both ready to give fans what they want.
Obviously, people are used to seeing Mexican fighters deliver all out action. We've seen some terrific all action fights from Mexican legends over the years. I asked Emmanuel this. I'll obviously ask you the same question. Is it on your mind, or do you think about trying to deliver some of those nights that we've seen previously in your fight on the 12th?
Of course, man. That's always in my mind because it's always a possibility. Of course we got a game plan. Of course, Vaquero Navarrete has a game plan. You know, and I've had game plans before. I had a game plan with Scott Quigg. So we broke my jaw, and then that game plan goes out the window. And sometimes you gotta stay in there and duke it out and see who was the bigger man or tougher man who has more heart inside the ring. So we got a game plan, but like I said before, a lot of times that game plan goes out the window, and we gotta step it up and show who wants it the most.
You're both two extremely tough and durable men, but just looking at yourself, Oscar, you've obviously shown it when the going gets tougher and your back's against the ropes, you'll bite down on your gum shield and you'll pull through. Do you feel like that could be a key factor on fight night, having that extra kind of will to stay in there?
Definitely, definitely. I feel that I've been in tougher positions. I've been in wars. I fought with a broken hand. I fought with an injured rib before, and I fought with a my jaw broken. I've got sent to the canvas and get up, but I always fight to the end. And I think that type of mentality, is going to help me for this fight. I don't think Vaquero Navarrete has been in those type of positions that I've had, where you start questioning yourself because we're only human beings. We're human beings. We're fighters, but we're inside the ring, though. Those questions start getting to your mind. Do you really want it? Is it really necessary? Is it really worth it? Because you're literally risking your life inside the ring. And I've been in those positions. I've been in those positions when I'm my jaw, and my hand, and my rib, and sent to the canvas. And I've asked me those questions. And the answer is yes, it's worth it. Let's go. Let's do this. One more round. One more round. Take it round by round. I know I passed those type of tests. We don't know if Vaquero has that. So I think I have that type of advantage that I've been through something that he probably hasn't.
When I spoke to Emmanuel, he's very confident that he expects early on this fight just catches fire, and it could well come down to who is the last man standing. Do you expect something similar? Do you expect it to be a firefight almost instantly?
Yes, yes. Like I said, I've been picturing it. I've been picturing it how it can happen because it all depends on how Vaquero Navarrete brings. Like I said, I visualize this fight knocking him out in the first round. I visualize knocking him in later rounds. I visualize making a dirty fight. outboxing my opponent, staying toe to toe. I visualize this fight in many different ways. That I always visualize myself winning, and anything can happen. But knowing his style and knowing my style, it's if I'm a betting man, we're gonna duke it out. We're gonna go toe to toe, and I'm gonna be the smarter brawler. That's the only thing that I have in my mind because you don't have to be in there and receive one to land yours. You can be in there, block one, and land your shot too. So that's for me. That will be called the smarter brawler inside the ring.
What is kind of I don't expect you rather to tell me your game plan, but how do you expect this fight to play out when you do step between the ropes? What's going to be the difference during your time in the ring together?
My ring IQ will definitely be a part of this. I have a great amateur background. Um, I just work too hard for this. I work too hard. Like I said, I visualize it going toe to toe, unboxing them, moving around the ring, maybe going toe to toe with them. But I just visualize myself always winning. I've been working too hard for this, so it's like there's not an official right now game plan because it all depends what he's got. We got plan A, plan B, if you will, but it's not something that we're going to try to execute for the first round. It all depends what he brings to the table.
Oscar, you're obviously a huge name within the sport, and just looking at the divisions of yourself that you're in currently and ones around you, there'd be massive fights for you moving forwards. When you consider kind of what's at stake, if you were to be unsuccessful, is it one whereby you kind of fall into that trap of being presented to maybe the next up and comer in the super featherweight division, or would you not allow that to happen and you'd expect to be given another opportunity at world level?
I don't know what to expect. I'll being completely honest, I wouldn't know what to expect because um, I never have a plan before the fight. I have this fight in front of me, and that's the only thing that I have in mind. That's the only thing I visualize. I visualize myself winning. Losing is never an option in my mind. And I don't really think about what could happen after the fight. It gets to a point where I don't even have plans with my own family. When I tell them, hey, mom, dad, wife, kids, after the fight, when the fight's done, then we'll see what do we do. When do I get to see you? But right now, I don't know what's gonna happen. And that's something that I've always said. When I go inside the ring, I literally say bye to my mom, to my dad, to my wife, to kids, because you don't know if you're gonna come down with life. You're risking your life. So I always, love you. This and that, things that I have to say. So after the fight's done, I'm always happy because my rival and myself are well. We both get to go back to our families, and then from there we start planning. So I don't really plan nothing but the fight right now. So my biggest goal right now is just to win and see what happens down in life with that.
Does the winner of your fight next weekend become the number one fighter at 130 pounds?
Definitely, because this is the most announced. People a lot of times people make the champions. You got fighters like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence when they went and fight together. So for some people, Errol Spence was a champion. For some people, Terrence Crawford was a champion. Now they made it clear who's a champion. But sometimes people just call out the champion and say he's the real. You got someone like Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Sometimes they say, so a lot of people say, Lomachenko's a real champion. So just because I keep on hearing, I think this fight will set clear who's 130 champion of them all. You got other fighters out there who are well respected, who I don't want to disrespect those guys because they earned their championship fights, but that's what belts were made for, and that's what unifications were made for, and becoming undisputed champions are for. So, God willing, this fight happens well. Let's try to unify all the belts.
I was going to lead into my next question. The other title holders being Oshiki Foster, Joe Cordina, and Hector Garcia. When you look at them, outside of obviously Navarrete, who do you feel would offer you the most difficult task?
They're all great fighters. I wouldn't know which ones are going to be the most difficult. Who would I choose to fight? I would choose Oshir Foster without a doubt because he has a WBC belt. And I've said this before. I got nothing personal with none of the fighters, none of them. O'Shea Foster, much respect to him. He's earned his shot. He earned being a world champion. But when you're a world champion, you're a target from everybody. When you're a champion, everybody wants to take that belt. So that's the only reason why we mention these names. Nothing personal. I've never had nothing personal with none of these fighters. You know, fighters talk back and forth on social media, on Twitter. And I'm not that type of fighter. I just like raise my hand. Hey, can we let's fight, let's do it. Let the best man win, and then just go on from there.
I want to slide in that British angle. As obviously I'm from the UK, Oscar, Joe Cordina holding the IBF version of the world title. If talks were ever to happen, would you be willing to travel over here, fight in front of the UK fans in what would be an unbelievable fight?
Yes, I mean, like I said before, I'll fight anyone, especially if the money's right. You know, going over there to the UK, of course. You know, at the end of the day, this is boxing. This is a competition. This is a sport. This is a business as well. So if it makes sense to go over there, of course. The only reason why most of the fights are in Vegas because Vegas pays more. But if there was a chance that in the UK they pay more than in Vegas, let's go to UK. If they pay more in Dubai, let's go to Dubai. Let's go to China. Wherever pays more, let's do it because I think fighters deserve more money because it's a legit risking your life inside the ring. You're literally risking your life. We've seen it before. A lot of fighters who right now to this day are still fighting for their life. And there's a lot of fighters who are passed away and great fighters as well. So it's like it doesn't matter if you're good or bad or you're not talented or you're talented. You're risking your life inside the ring. So that itself should be being paid more.
Oscar, just a couple to quickly wrap up on. Obviously, you mentioned Terence Crawford earlier and Errol Spence. Terence with that unbelievable performance and stoppage win the other night. What did you make of that?
I was surprised. I was rooting for Terence Crawford. I've always been a Terence Crawford fan. I know him personally. He's a great guy, great human being. I love his speeches in the press conference. Very respectful guy. If you talk smack to him, he'll talk smack back. He sets the tone to put some respect on him, but he backs it up inside the ring. I see him as a complete, not just fighter, but a complete athlete in general. I feel if you put him in baseball, he will do good. If you put him in basketball, he'll do good. If you put him in soccer, he will do good. I was rooting for him, but I did not expect that to happen. I was not. I was surprised to see the beatdown that he put on Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is a tough fighter, tough fighter. We've seen him fight. You know, he beat someone who I admire a lot, who's Danny Garcia. He beat Danny Garcia, Ugas. And he beat, Sean Porter. He's carry a punch. And a lot of people saying, oh, maybe it was a car accident. No, it wasn't a car accident. It was Terence Crawford being the bigger fighter and the bigger, smarter fighter inside the ring. He's just better in general. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in losing. I got a lot of respect for Errol Spence and the admiration for him, what he's gone through. But Terence Crawford is the number one pound for pound in my list right now.
And just a final one, how is Saul looking ahead of his fight with Jamal Charlo?
Saul's, honestly, he always looks great. You know, one thing that I like the most about this camp right now that he's in it, he's not golfing so much anymore. So, if I was his trainer, I'm just his friend. I'm just his friend. So I can't, I can't tell what Canelo could do or cannot do. You know, he's done it all in boxing. If he retires now, he did everything in boxing. So he's set. There's nothing I could do to tell him that he will be a good advice because he's done it all already. But if I was his trainer, I would try to tell him, hey, less golf, more boxing. And that's what I'm seeing right now with him. So I do see a better Canelo. He's gonna come strong. He's very focused. He's not a pushover. He's not gonna let Charlo do all that talking and pushing and whatever Charlo tries to bring to get in his mind. Canelo's out of everything that I know about Canelo, his speed, his head movement, his defense, his power shots. The one thing that I admire the most about Canelo, if something I can pick from him, is his mindset. His mindset is at another level. In his mind, There's nobody could beat him. And to be a champion, you also got to believe it in your mind. You call it the law of attraction, you call it brand, you call it whatever you want. But you first got to make it in your mind. And Canelo is a perfect example. He doesn't care what you say, what I say, what the media says, what his wife says. What that guy trains hard in the gym, and he doesn't care about nothing in the world but to just fight. So it's very admiring to see something like that. It's inspiring that you always try to learn something from each and every fighter. So that's something that I've always tried to learn from him. Like, how does he do it inside the mind?
I have to ask, I know you've said he doesn't mind or he doesn't care rather instead of mind, but what do you think of anybody who suggests he's on the decline at this stage of his career?
I don't think he's in decline. I think he pays more attention to golf. That's the reason why we've seen a little bit. But if you put some effort in, you'll be back up there, no problem. And I've heard this before by a great trainer of mine. You're only as good as your last fight. So his last fight, he didn't knock out his opponent. He didn't do this and that. So they're judging him by his last performance. His last performance, he fought in Guadalajara, high altitude, a lot of people, a lot of distractions. He's this hometown, a lot of distraction. He was trying to knock out his opponent. He wasn't getting a knockout because his opponent was a good fighter as well, very defensive, trying to hide those shots. Canelo loading up on all those shots got him tired in the later rounds. So people are judging. I think the bigger it's bigger than what really happened. People thinking that his downfall because of his age. I add more that he was trying to knock out his opponent in front of his crowd, a lot of distractions, and he didn't look his best because he was trying too hard to give the fans what they wanted, which is a knockdown. I truly believe that's what it was. Because if you look at Canelo in the gym, if you were to be here in the gym, you would be surprised of how he trains, how he spars, how he works, and it's pretty amazing. So it's like I don't see a downfall yet. You know, it can happen any moment. It can happen to any of us because we're in our 30s, and you know that's where fighters start declining a little bit. If you look at history, but Canelo is well taken. He takes care of his body. He's very focused. He knows what he wants, and I don't see a decline yet.
Okay, it's a pleasure to catch up with you, Oscar. Obviously, good luck on the 12th, and thank you for speaking to me in Boxing News.
All right, Andy. Have a good one, man. Shout out to UK.